YouTube has decided to not share my videos with everyone who subscribes. Please follow me on social media to stay up to date. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Rustled for the 11th of May, 2018. Just before we jump into the stories today, I want to quickly announce that this will be the ongoing norm. One video, 3 stories, maybe 4 or 5, depending on how small they are or just the crazier stuff I want to talk about. YouTube has been doing everything it can to throttle my channel. It's gotten to the point of where the earnings have gotten pretty much down to nothing. So at this point, this is what I feel the best course of action. I'm going to be focusing on this in this format, doing $3 theater. There's also going to be live streams for cold case files, which we'll look for that announcement here pretty soon, and some other stuff that I'm working on, because apparently it does appear that YouTube is just looking to kill this channel in any way it possibly can. So that's where I'm at. And it's unfortunate. So this is where we are. But if you want to get the individual stories, you can check out $3 Theater, which will be having a nightly stream at the 9:30 slot. That is going to be replacing this one. And those will be a lot of movie talk, a lot of movie discussion, and that will be over on that one. Links will be in the video description as well as at the end bar, the end screen during this episode. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the first one here, because this is crazy. All right, this woman here is a 31-year-old. It looks like your standard kind of normal person on the internet, taking a selfie, cleavage hanging out, makeup done up. You'd like to think that. You'd like to think that this is the case, but the truth of the matter is, it ain't. This is Jacqueline AIDS, or Ades. I'm gonna say AIDS because it's worse than cancer in this case. But Jacqueline had one date with a man. And then 65,000 texts later, she said she wanted to bathe in his blood, right? Now, we all know what it's like to not put your dick in crazy. And this is a story that should remind you that if you get 65,000 texts from a woman, you might want to change your phone, hide your kids, hide your wife, and get the hell out of the country. So it says here that a 31-year-old Paradise Valley, Arizona woman is accused of stalking and harassment after allegedly sending a man as many as 500 texts a day, threatening to kill him and trespassing in his home after they went on a single date last year. The documents say that 31-year-old Jacqueline AIDS, again, just calling her AIDS, and an unnamed man went on a single date after meeting on an online dating website. Police say they first became involved in July of 2017 when the man contacted them saying AIDS was parked out of his property, and he had been continually texting him even when he told her he didn't want to speak to her anymore. Which makes sense. If she's sitting outside of his place, constantly texting him, completely thirsty, you may want to notify 50, because they're going to be the ones that come and help get rid of the problem. But at the same time, she knows where you live, so it's still a threat. Now, she was escorted off the property, but then her messages to the man became threatening. She says here, "Oh, what would I do with your blood? I'd want to bathe in it." Was one example. Another one was, "Don't ever try to leave me, I'll kill you. I don't want to be a murderer, and I want to wear your body parts." Yeah, this is getting weird, right? Even I've had some weird internet dates and everything else, and even I'd be all like, this is why I don't bring women back to my house. In total, she is suspected of sending as many as 65,000 texts in total. The man did call police in December saying that AIDS had returned to his home, but when they arrived, she was nowhere to be found. 4 months later, while the man was out of country, he called detectives and said he had spotted her near his home while reviewing security footage. This is why you also want to have, like if you live in a home and you do even like public figure stuff, having security cameras around your home and even in your home is probably for the best, because people be crazy. People like this woman be crazy, and it's good that he was reviewing the footage and he wasn't home. Officers arrived and said they discovered her inside his home taking a bath, after which she was arrested and charged with felony trespassing. I'm surprised they didn't discover her in his bathtub and red food coloring was everywhere. She wanted to be symbolic. She wanted to, figuratively bathe in his blood in his home, just to send a message that I will always love you. Right? This girl is not quite Jodi Arias level, but she's getting real close. When she was released, the man told police the threatening text messages continued. In May, detectives received yet another phone call that she had a run-in with another police department for causing a scene at the man's business and claiming to be his wife. After the last incident, police began searching for her. She was arrested on Tuesday and charged with threatening and intimidating, stalking, and harassment. She did tell police, after a butcher knife was found in her car, by the way, that she threatened the man because she loved him and did not want him to leave, although she did admit that her messages were crazy. Her messages were crazy as hell, right? That's the world we live in right now, right? That's the world we're at, where this woman can send 65,000 messages, right? And it's like it took her breaking into his home, bathing in his bathtub, having another incident where she went to his workplace and told people she was his wife for the cops to act. Whereas, and I'm just going to be honest here, had the gender roles been reversed, this dude would have been freaking arrested after like 200 text messages. You know, like I want to say they gave her the benefit of the doubt because they probably went like, well, she loves him. And I mean, like, really, you know, he should be thankful that someone loves him at this point. He should just be thankful that he is loved. I think it's crap. I think it's bull crap. And I'm glad she's arrested. It took a long time, but 500 text messages a day. Yeah, I'm really glad I'm no longer in the dating scene because I'm tired of that shit myself. All right, jumping over into some stuff that I don't want to give the time of day, but I still want to talk about it being crazy, is this woman right here, Deanne Carson, who labels herself as a sexual consent expert. What exactly is a sexual consent expert? How do you become an expert in sexual consent? Is it like you go to University of Phoenix and that becomes like how you get the degree? Is it some online college? I don't know. Is it something you just made up, something that you went to Tumblr and like, I'm a sexual consent expert now? But it doesn't matter how she did it. Deanne Carson did it. And she ended up on TV talking about the stupidest shit ever with this right here. A sexuality expert says parents should ask for consent before changing their baby's diapers. Yeah. Hate to break it to you, Miss Sexual Consent Expert. I'm the father of a 5-month-old. My daughter, all she cares about right now is sleeping, eating, and pooping. And then also being comforted after all 3 of those things, right? Because that's where her mind is at right now. The most complex, compelling thing in her life is, wow, my fingers do something. That's where she's at right now. She's teething and understanding and figuring out what her body does. She's not sitting there asking for consent. But of course, none of that matters here. So it says here that a self-described sexuality expert told ABC News, this would be the Australian broadcasting company, although the craziness would appear here in America, this is clearly an Australian thing. Remember, folks, in Australia, everything and anything that's not you wants to kill you. And I think this kind of train of thought probably also backs up that same mindset. Now, she told parents that asking infants permission before changing their diapers. And yeah, she ain't making that up either. Deanne Carson, who markets herself again as a sexual consent expert. I'd love to see the degree where she went to school for that. And then, of course, you realize it's probably a liberal arts college and that it is not the same thing. Says that she works with children as young as infants, and she made the claim on ABC News this last week. And it says here, a sexuality expert has said parents should ask babies for permission before changing their nappies in order to set up a culture of consent from birth. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I understand. Like, I'm gonna be making fun of her, okay, clearly. But I understand it. I get it. Okay. She wants to make kids aware that they have autonomy in that regard. And it's probably a good thing to have for later on in life, not feel you owe anyone something or that anyone can take whatever they want from you without you saying yes or no. Right. Obviously, I get that. And I'm going to teach my daughter all about consent, but not when she's an infant, because none of that even matters right now. Now, the reporter does come back and say, from birth? And she says, yes, just about how to set up a culture of consent in their homes. So I'm going to change your nappy now. Is that okay? Again, when my daughter is screaming her head off because she just laid a fat crap in her diaper, which is like 30 minutes ago, it's kind of implied. All right. Now, granted, this isn't California. We can't ask for affirmative consent every 10 minutes. It's not the same thing, though, because there's nothing sexual about changing a child's diaper which is a little bit weird that a sexual consent expert, which I don't even want to give the term credence of any kind, is going on TV and basically trying to apply the same logic of sexual consent or affirmative consent to changing a child's diapers. It makes no sense to me. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Now, she says, of course, your baby's not going to respond. Yes, Mom, that's awesome. I'd love to have my nappy changed. But if you leave a space and wait for body language and wait to make eye contact, then you're letting the child know that their response matters. But the child doesn't have a response. The child doesn't have any of that. The child doesn't understand anything of the sort. The child simply just wants their basic needs met. And their basic needs, in this particular case, are always going to be sleeping, eating, shitting, comfort. That's it. Right? When we took our daughter home from the hospital, they made sure to say, okay, make sure her needs are met, that she's been fed, that she's not dirty diapered, that she's been rocked and comforted and swaddled and loved. That's what baby wants. That's what baby needs. Baby doesn't have the comprehension to understand what consent is. So sitting there and saying, I'm going to change your diaper now, okay? And then they wait for like, I don't know, what's a solid pause, right? A couple seconds. They look at the kid just basically smiles back because, oh, they're looking at their parent's face. They're happy to see mommy or daddy. And they just know that they're being loved in that moment. Is not consent. It's a child bonding and imprinting with their fucking parents. This is stupid. I should not give it any credence. This woman is dumb and she should be made to feel dumb. Because this is the world we live in. And remember, anyone with pink hair is a cranhead, and cranheads obviously never can be trusted. I'm kidding. Not all of you are bad, but this lady's freaking nuts. So jumping over to the break section of the episode, I want to talk to you guys about my Patreon. If you want to help the channel right now, this is probably the best way to go about it. You can do it for as little as $1 per month or whatever you want. More perks are going to be coming here pretty soon. We have roles on the Discord if you want to jump in on that. That's going to be available. That's mundanematt.com it's patreon.com/mundanematt. And it's a really good way to help out the channel if that's what you want to do. And I'd appreciate it. So anyway, going into the third story here, because this one is one, again, you want to watch out for. Children in the internet is something that clearly is it needs to be monitored, I think, a little bit more. And what you have here is this woman. Her name is Kristen Aragon, right? Cool ass name, by the way, right? Just imagine your last name is Aragon. You're like, I am Aragon. And you can hopefully be a geek on Lord of the Rings. She's definitely a geek of some kind, but she's now a geek in a lot of trouble because she met a boy on Xbox Live and then it got sexual. And so then she drove 13 hours to kidnap him. Now, we've heard of these kind of things before, but the gender roles were reversed. There was actually a story not too long ago about a guy who tried to kidnap a young girl that he met online. And he drove from like Ohio or Illinois down to Florida in order to try to get her. He did get her, but they rescued her in Georgia. Here, it's similar case, but it's one that should be talked about regardless, because we need to remember that kids are on the internet almost unchecked most of the time these days. It feels like, at least. And people like Kristen Aragon here are predators, and they do need to be called out. Now, it says here that a 14-year-old Oklahoma boy was kidnapped by 2 New Mexico women after meeting one of them on Xbox Live, and it got sexual. The boy told police that one of the women invited him into a game in an Xbox Live party. The 35-year-old woman then asked for his number. She started texting him. The boy told police that the woman he was talking to wanted to have sex with him. And him being a 14-year-old boy, that hormones are going to be raging. So he's going to be thinking like, I'm going to do it. He's going to gather his friends around and go, boys, gentlemen, or I soon will be the only man here. Except for you, Leibowitz, you had your bar mitzvah last year, you bastard. But I will go on this conquest. I will travel to this 35-year-old woman and come back a man. Now, granted, this is sexual assault. There's no way around it. If this act happened, she was grooming this boy who could clearly not consent, right? And we just talked about consent, okay, a minute ago. But he can't talk about consent here. So there are news reports that the same woman asked for a picture of his penis, which he did on 2 occasions. Yeah, right there we're getting into CP territory. That is no bueno, no good, that is bad. She also sent him sexually explicit texts. In the affidavit, the boy reportedly told police that he told the woman he was only 14, and he knew she was in her 30s. So at that point, she was pretty thirsty, and she was determined to get this young boy, probably to mold him. If she was going to kidnap him, her and her friend, you know, or whomever was with her. I have no idea yet. It's a crazy thing. Now, he told the woman that he was lonely and stayed home a lot, so they began discussing living arrangements. He also thought the woman only lived 30 minutes away, not 2 states and 13 hours. Yeah, you got to watch out for that. People say, oh, I'm a local, right? Because you always go on those websites and you see, like, find local MILFs near you. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't think that person lives near me because I was on this website in 2 states ago and I saw the same person. Someone here is clearly lying to me. And the internet is full of liars and cheats. We should be aware of this. Now, it wasn't until Kristen Aragon and her friend Melissa Goelz picked up the 14-year-old boy at a gas station that he was told the women live in New Mexico. The 14-year-old was also told that he would never be back home. During the 13-hour drive, the boy was sexually assaulted by Aragon multiple times. Yeah, this was all a plan to, like, basically groom this kid and turn him into a sex slave, which is in no way good. This is horrible type of stuff here. 100%. I'm glad. I'm very glad that they've been arrested. The boy was reported missing on April 16th by his father. His dad told detectives his son spent most of his time playing Xbox Live and that both the controller and the games were missing. The console was still there. Now, that is interesting. The controller and the games are gone because they've already got one, so why have another one? And they're going to want to keep him in check. They're going to want to keep him there, so obviously that makes sense. Calls to the boy went to voicemail, and the boy did not have many friends. It was very alarming, the sheriff says. We knew it was going to be a bad situation if we didn't act fast and get the boy located, which is true. Investigators analyzed Xbox, according to the reports, with hopes of finding information that would identify or locate the boy. They found messages between the boy and user Milken Christie Aragon. Meekin Christie Aragon. So that's Meekin. I think that's Mrs. It could be German. I think it's German. They're using a historical ping of the boy's cell phone along with the 24-hour call log. The police discovered that there were several calls between the same number on the kidnapping. The number was linked to a Facebook page named Christie's Chocolate Factory, and it was the same spelling as the Xbox account. So at this point, they got this girl dead to rights. Police identified Aragon as a candy shop owner in Farmington, New Mexico. Oh my God, she's a candy shop owner. This whole story would only be, and I don't want to say better, but it would be in the darker context of the term better, as if she rolled up with her friend in a fucking windowless van that had Christie's Candy Shop or Christie's Chocolate Factory on the side. Because it would totally give credence to that whole, like, pedo free candy windowless van thing. So at this point, I kind of hope they fit that stereotype. I'm just saying. That information led Oklahoma detectives to notify Farmington police, who were waiting in the driveway when they got to the house about 2 a.m. on April 17th, one day after he was kidnapped. She was charged on May 4th with suspicion of felony kidnapping of a child and felony lewd or indecent proposal to a minor. Her friend was also charged on suspicion of felony kidnapping in connection with Aragon. The women were booked into the jail, and the boy is now back at home. And that's great. That's great that they were able to work so fast and lock this kid down as quick as they did. That's fantastic to me. I love that technology is able to help kind of alleviate these problems when they happen like this. And that is something to consider here too, is that what you've got are people like her who was probably lonely and looking for something, and she found this thing, and it's nowhere, it's not good. This is one of the reasons why I do honestly feel we need to find more ways to socialize people outside of the internet. My job is 100% online. I'm online talking to people behind a monitor or a camera or a microphone all the time, not real interactions with them, which is one of the reasons why that when I go to VidCon or I go to meetups, or I went to Kilroy and there's other creators there that I know that I'm friends with, having that in-person connection is so grand because we spend so much time separated. And I think the father, knowing that the boy spent all of his time online and not having many friends, I think this is going to be a good opportunity for the boy and his dad to bond, to get help, to get therapy, and then to maybe get in some programs that would allow him to meet people in real life that aren't going to lure him into a windowless van for the sake of sexual assault in video games in New Mexico. So I hope she goes away for a long time, and it does look like she's going to. So that being said, guys, that wraps up this episode of Rustled for the 11th of May, 2018. Remember, if you want to help support the channel, the best way is to thumbs it up, maybe Patreon, spread it around, and definitely comment below. So I appreciate you guys' comments. I will see you all later, and be sure to check out the end screen here so you can find out more great content from me. I'm biased, though, so I say it anyway. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Have a good one.